We're building these incredibly powerful AI systems for military operations. But it turns out, managing them is way more complex than just making sure the data is clean. Today, we're going to dig into why military AI needs a whole new rulebook, one that shifts our focus from simply trusting the data to truly trusting the decisions that AI helps create.
Okay, so picture this scenario from the source material. You've got perfect, high-quality intelligence data flowing into an AI system that's watching a really tense border. And what comes out the other side? A recommendation for a preemptive strike, basically a recommendation for war. You've got to ask yourself, what on earth went wrong? And that's the core problem we're unpacking here.
And that really brings us to the big question, right? Is good data actually enough? The source material for this explainer argues that assuming the answer is yes is one of the most dangerous mistakes we can possibly make in modern warfare.
All right, let's jump back into that scenario. So you have this AI on a contested border, and it's being fed perfectly curated, perfectly secured data. But the AI's own internal logic gets it wrong. It misinterprets some ambiguous movements. Maybe it's just a convoy of supply trucks as a sign of an imminent attack. And boom, it suggests a preemptive strike. So the data? It was perfect. The outcome? A sky-high risk of catastrophic escalation. And this, right here, gets to the absolute heart of what the source calls a doctrinal category error. For years, the focus has been all about big data. Just get more of it and make it better. The assumption has always been that if you perfect the inputs, the outputs will just take care of themselves. But that totally overlooks the AI itself, that complex and, let's be honest, often black box system that's making the recommendation in the first place. Okay, let's really nail this down, this category error. It's kind of like meticulously checking every single component of a car engine. The quality of the steel, the precision of the parts, but never actually testing if the car can drive straight. Trusting your inputs, the data, is just not the same thing as trusting your outputs, the AI's recommendations. And this is the fundamental misunderstanding military doctrine has to correct, and fast. So, what are we even talking about with data governance? Well, think of it this way. If an AI is a chef, then the data is all the ingredients. Data governance is the whole process of making sure those ingredients are fresh, high quality, and stored correctly. It's all about making sure the information is trustworthy before it ever gets to the chef. In short, it is all about the inputs. And this visual here with the blue stock, it shows that first part perfectly. Data governance is focused entirely on the left side, collecting, managing, and securing data to create what we call trusted data inputs. It's the essential groundwork, but it's only half the story. Okay, but then you've got AI governance. And this is a whole different ballgame. This is the framework for managing how our AI system, our chef, actually behaves. Does the chef follow the recipe? Can we trust them not to misinterpret the instructions or worse, add a dangerous ingredient of their own? See, it's not about the data going in anymore. It's all about trusting the outputs. And you can see it right here. AI governance is this orange stack on the right-hand side. It's about model oversight, risk monitoring, and managing the AI's actual behavior to produce trusted decisions and outputs. It governs the black box itself, not just what you put into it. So when you put these two ideas side by side, it really drives the point home. We have to move from data trust, which is all about managing the ingredients, to decision trust, which is about governing the choices and recommendations the AI chef actually cooks up. That's a huge conceptual leap. Let's really break this down. On one hand, you have data governance. Its primary focus is on inputs, on data trust. The goal is just integrity and security. But AI governance, its focus is on the outputs, on decision trust. And the goal there is behavioral predictability. One is about managing storage and access. The other is about managing ethics, compliance, and real-world outcomes. They're two totally different jobs, and they require two very different playbooks. Okay, so we get the problem, right? Just managing the data isn't going to cut it. So what's the fix? Well, the source material proposes a structured framework for managing military AI not just before it's used, but through its entire operational life. It really comes down to 3 key steps. Step 1, register and document. Every single AI system gets a file that details its purpose, its limits, and, this is critical, its known failure modes. Think of it like a detailed operating manual for a really complex weapon system. Step 2, evaluate and monitor. This means you test it relentlessly in realistic simulations before you deploy it, and then you keep an eye on its performance in the field. And step 3, ensure accountability and human oversight. This is the non-negotiable part, the final veto. The AI can flag something, it can suggest something, but a human commander has to give the final go. And this isn't just some tech issue or a box-ticking exercise for the compliance department. This gets to the very core of military command itself. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. AI supports, but humans decide. The AI is a tool, a powerful one for sure, but a tool nonetheless. It does not replace human judgment. The ultimate authority and responsibility must always, always stay with the person. And the source material couldn't be clearer on this point. It says, ultimate accountability for AI-assisted decisions must rest with human commanders. There's just no wiggle room there. You cannot delegate accountability to an algorithm, period.
This brings up a really important idea they call continuous command responsibility. What that means is a commander's job isn't done just because the AI is deployed. Nope. They have an ongoing duty to understand its behavior, to know its limits, and to manage how it's influencing their operations. This isn't a checklist you finish. It's a core command function, just like managing firepower or intelligence.
Okay, so why does all of this really matter in the real world? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the huge strategic consequences, especially for a military force like India's, operating along contested borders in a really complex neighborhood with nuclear-armed states. You see, when you put this kind of robust AI governance in place, it has these massive ripple effects for stability. It formally locks in commander accountability so we always know who's responsible. It makes sure that AI doesn't become some kind of loophole to get around civilian control. It actively builds caution into these automated systems, creating breaks where there might otherwise be none. This is how you stop a small error from spiraling into a major crisis in a hotspot. And most importantly, it keeps human judgment at the absolute center of any decision to use force. At the end of the day, this whole conversation goes way beyond just military doctrine. This is about one of the biggest challenges of our time. How do we preserve human control and accountability in an age where automation is becoming incredibly powerful? And that really leaves us with a huge question to chew on for all of us. As these AI systems get exponentially more capable and more woven into every single part of our lives, not just the military, how do we design our systems, our laws, and our rules to make sure that human judgment always, always stays in charge?